Jesus Christ, why do I torture myself? Why do I allow myself to be tortured? Why did I even put this up as a even a thought? Why did why am I so stupid as to put this up as a choice against Barbenheimer? Because that would have probably just been like stupid or something like that. I mean, Oppenheimer is 3 hours long, but like all five of these, what was I thinking? Must have been drunk when I did it. But hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here, and back again with all new torture. And I'm doing the I Spit on Your Grave series. All five of them. Yes, even Deja Vu. Yippee. This is a rape revenge film from 1978. Also, if you don't deal well with themes of rape, go ahead, leave. I can actually understand that. Uh, because I actually have to talk about this movie. This film's from 1978, horror thriller, I guess, directed by Mears Archie, and it stars Camille Keaton, Aaron Tabor, Richard Pace, Anthony Nichols, and Gunter Kleeman. In this film, a young, beautiful career woman rents a backwoods cabin to write her first novel. Attacked by a group of local lowlives and left for dead, she devises a horrific plan to inflict revenge. So, what did I think of I Spit on Your Grave or Day of the Woman? Excuse me, Day of the Woman. Um, this doesn't happen too often because I can usually find a couple things where I'm like, okay, that was okay, or this was kind of well done. I can't do that here. Uh, I absolutely hated this movie with every fiber of my fucking, and I find it very weird that people are trying to turn this into like a feminist movie, which is crazy. And I'll talk about a specific review that I've always had a lot of hate for because I don't believe a single word what he's saying. But I absolutely hated every second of this. Especially the rape, but even the revenge part isn't well done. And it's very slow and very boring and very overplayed. But let me get to the cast before I jump into this dumpster fire. Camille Keaton plays Jennifer Hills. I think Camille Keaton is trying here. I haven't seen anything else she's been in. Apparently, she's in Deja Vu, and she's in some other movie where a bunch of people try to break into her house where she's a bit older. Um, and she's never really been a big actor. She's in random stuff. She's in Lords of Salem. She's in that movie uh oh, never mind. That's a different movie called Death House. Uh, Savage Vengeance. Yeah, I don't know most of these movies. But I think she's trying, but something about the way that this film is edited doesn't really help her. Mares Archie edits it as well. The editing has mostly just flat shots on the actors' faces. There's no like moving cinematography other than a camera going like this. And it doesn't really help the actors because they're it feels like nobody's being given direction, but I think she's trying. There are moments where I'm like, okay, she's not the worst, but still it's still like very boring most of the performance. Aaron Tabor plays Johnny. He's the main rapist. Uh, that's more nervous laughter, by the way. Uh, He's okay, but he's mostly an over-the-top stereotype, just like everybody else. There's no use in talking about the acting. The acting is one of the big issues. Um, the acting from everybody is very over the top, very stereotypical. And you might think, oh, back in the day, they were a lot more stereotypical. Everything was stereotypical. Um, maybe to an extent, but not every movie has shit like this, where every male character on screen in this film, just like all of these other bullshit feminist movies, are all one-dimensional stereotypes, stereotypical like backwoods people. It's another movie pushing that stupid fucking stereotype that Southerners or like people who live in the woods are all rapists, murderers. I don't know where the fuck this came from. Maybe Deliverance. Deliverance came out a little bit before this. Maybe that started pushing that stereotype in film. And to be honest, Deliverance, while I still fucking hate it, I like it a tiny bit more than this. I still hate it, but it's not as bad as this. There's actually good acting from uh John Voight, from Burt Reynolds, even Ronnie Cox before he just kind of disappears from the movie. Um, but here, the acting from Aaron Tabor, Richard Pace, Anthony Nichols, and Gunter Kleeman, it's all stereotypes. Especially Richard Pace as Matthew Lucas, who is supposed to be developmentally disabled, and I it I would have never got that if they hadn't said it in the movie, if they hadn't used the word like they use the word retard. Like if they hadn't said that, I wouldn't have like thought anything. I would have thought he was gay because he's playing it as if the character's gay, which is weird. But he's developmentally disabled. So, I don't know. I don't know what the point was uh of having him be that way just for the bit where oh he's impotent or whatever. But like all of the characters are fucking annoying. Like again, Jennifer isn't an annoying character, but she's not given much of a character outside of she writes books, then she gets assaulted. And this film is very notorious in the horror community as a rape revenge film where the rape scene takes up 30 minutes of the film. 30. For a 40-minute film, 30 minutes is a long, overwrought, just tiring rape scene. And I understand exactly what the director's point is. His supposed point is to get you to hate these guys. But you know what film did that in less than a minute? Where where you don't even see any explicit rape. A movie that is absolutely hated, a British film called Closure, starring Gillian Anderson, Danny Dyer, who apparently a lot of British people hate Danny Dyer because he pretends to be poor when he's not really poor, whatever, I don't care. I'm going by acting. A well acted movie by both of them. Gillian Anderson more so than him, but still, both do good jobs. And the rape scene in that film was less than a minute long, which is how it should be. Because we get it. We don't need everything shown to us. Insinuation would have worked just as well, and that's what they did. They showed more so the aftermath of how him getting beaten up and her being uh assaulted affects both of them and their relationship when everything was going fine, and then just this puts a big like stop into their lives. It did that well, and people hate that film for some reason. I don't understand it. I loved it. It's a shocking movie that actually was shocking because it didn't feel like it was trying too hard. But this, where the rape scene is over 30 minutes long, it's tiring. And I'm not gonna lie, I skipped through some of it. I know I'm not the only person who does this. I don't ever do this with movies. Ever. I never do this with movies, skipping through them. But there's nothing to be gained. There's nothing to be gained. The camera work isn't doing anything interesting. It's just showing it, her screaming, them raping her, and it just doesn't it it's I there's my nothing to be gained from it. And it just ugh, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about this. I know I'll have more to say about the next couple movies for sure. Definitely Deja Vu from what I've heard of what's in that. I'll have plenty to say. But this like this is a well-regarded movie in certain spaces. In the revenge in the sub subgenre. This is praised. I haven't seen a lot of rape revenge movies. I mean, I guess you could technically call Death Wish 1 and 2 rape revenge movies, but I didn't like Death Wish 1, and Death Wish 2 just overdoes it too. It overdoes that shit as well. And it's really just it feels exploitative. And again, I'm not like that feminist type where it's like, oh, I believe that it's I don't believe something like people say the male gaze exists, where apparently whenever men record or video women naked, apparently it's always with the male gaze where they're exploiting them sexually, but when women do it to men, it's apparently there's apparently no female gaze, even though there's plenty of romantic comedies I've seen where they are 100% over sexualizing the male character, but nobody cares about that because apparently men can't be sexualized. Apparently men can't be assaulted. Uh, that's what feminism nowadays is. It's basically all women good, men bad. It doesn't matter if men are attacked or anything like that. Um, and that's frankly why I stay away from people who exhibit those types of feelings. But with films like this, if this is the film that started that, like third wave of feminism and all that bullshit, yeah, fuck this movie. Something I also wanted to talk about because it's been on my mind because I remembered there's a very famous review of this movie that called it one of the worst movies ever made. Do I think this is one of the worst movies ever made? Close, but there's way worse somehow. Even though I gave this a 1 out of 10, which I rarely ever do, unless there's a real reason for it. There are movies that have even less of a point than this. Even though I thought The Revenge was kind of overwrought, there were still interesting concepts to The Revenge, I guess. So there's clearly like some thought put into this. And again, Camille Keaton isn't the worst, but the review that I saw all that time ago was from Roger Ebert. And I don't believe a goddamn thing he says in this review, where he claims, Roger Ebert claims, you can read the review on his website still. He claims that the theater he saw this movie in, during the rape scene, there were multiple men in the audience cheering on the rapists. He claims this and talks about how he wanted to be self-righteous. Like, I respect Roger Ebert as a critic. Rest in peace. But he was full of shit sometimes. We have to admit that. We have to. Because there's no fucking way what he says in this review is real. If somebody started cheering on rapists in a movie theater, do you know what would probably happen? They'd get thrown the fuck out. And I know some people want to believe like, oh, back in the 70s and 80s there was chaos, there was no order to anything. If they saw somebody cheering on the bad guys like this in a movie theater, somebody would beat the shit out of them. Like, that's just common sense. But anyways, he claims that, oh, he wanted to say that the person's comments were disgusting, but he held back, which sounds like him being more of the snooty movie critic that a lot of people like that come off as. And to be honest, reading it again pissed me off because I'm like, really, dude? You could have just said you don't like the movie. You could have just said it was abhorrent and that it was over sexualization, whatever. And he does use the word feminist. He said the woman cheering on Camille Keaton was like feminist or whatever. Sure, whatever. I don't care. But like seriously, like I don't believe a lot of these people. I feel like they make this shit up just because it sounds good. It sounds very exciting to have in your review and very sensational to say, "Oh, the men in the theater were cheering on the rapist," when 100% that didn't happen. I don't believe for a second that that happened. So, um, anyways, more shit the film did. The what did I write down? Oh yeah, the revenge scenes are really just boring. Uh, it's fuck it. I'll just say what happens because I can get through it in like less than a minute. The mentally handicapped one gets hung over the river and dropped as she's like luring him in. She castrates Johnny. She hits one in the back with an axe, and she says, "Oh my God, this scene is so cringy." Um, the dialogue and the acting. She like bumps the boat back right in front of this guy, and then says, "Suck it, bitch." The thing on the motor for the boat, and apparently chops his legs up, and I guess he dies from blood loss. And then the movie just ends right after that. Less than a minute after that, the movie just cuts to credits. So even then, like I just explained all of the revenge in less than a minute. The revenge portion is somehow about 40 minutes. Not even joking. It's stretched out to 40 minutes, even though I just explained it in less than a minute. Uh, Pretty much every scene in this movie does what a lot of Grindhouse movies do. They pad the fuck out of it. 100% a lot of these movies, like they showed them, oh, they probably showed them the revenge part, the people who were producing it, and they were like, oh yeah, we'll do this movie. Not knowing that they're probably not knowing that there will be 30 minutes of rape. But yeah, it's oh my God. I find it hard to talk about this because there's not much to the movie. It's a lot of the scenes go on for way too long. The shots that Mayor's Archie needs to hire an editor. He needed another editor to cut this down. It did not need to be 100 minutes. Probably didn't even need to be 80. It could have probably been 70. Cut down the rape substantially and just get to the revenge. It would be a better movie. But yeah, again, only thing I can say is Camille Keaton at times is decent, but yeah, I fucking hate this movie and I don't hate y'all for this. I put myself in the situation, but still not happy about this. But yeah, that was my review of I Spit on Your Grave. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, put them down there as well. And movie reviewer next door.